Looks like DOGE, the White House, President Trump, Elon Musk, whoever the case may be, might have uncovered a international criminal conspiracy that has been ripping off Social Security tax dollars, federal tax dollars, your tax money for decades. And we're going to talk about that today. We're talking about $10 billion a week of fraud of your money. And we're going to ask three questions. Why haven't these checks been stopped? We've known about it for a few weeks. Why haven't they been stopped? And I can tell you it doesn't take long to stop this. How do I know? My name is Ed Weir. I ran the third busiest Social Security office in the country. And now in my semi-retirement, I'm helping people throughout the country make sure they get everything they earn from the Social Security Administration, and to make sure that money still continues to be there once the trust fund is depleted here in a few years. This is also a live Q&A, so if you have any questions, concerns, make sure you type them in the Q&A there, the chat, and we'll answer these questions and kick around a couple possibilities why this has happened. I will go into what should have happened by now, and then we'll talk about at the end what is probably going to happen. So, okay, so number one, billions of dollars. Why hasn't been stopped? Number two, when will DOGE, Elon Musk, update the website? I just checked the DOGE website. This is a screenshot of it about an hour ago, and still only $55 billion has found. That's a lot of money, yes. But if they stop this fraud that they've been talking about, then that's going to be 10 times that. So we're talking close to $500 billion a year, trillions of dollars over a 10-year period. So USAID, that's chump change compared to the fraud supposedly they found. And why hasn't the DOGE website been updated? Where are the checks going? So we'll talk about that. And let's see, what other kind of question do we have is, when are the arrests going to start? Because this is an international conspiracy, and I'm going to talk exactly why it's an international conspiracy here. And again, we'll get into a couple of possibilities. Okay, why haven't the checks been stopped? Easy to stop these checks. It's estimated, this is a story that it's still being continuously reported on all the different social media and news channels, that there's close to 21 million people, say it says right there, Fox Business, collecting Social Security that are over 100 years old. They're actually over 112 years old. Elon Musk has posted this a few times. President Trump read through the list of all the people over 112, 150, 300 years old that are collecting Social Security benefits. Elon Musk called this is the biggest fraud in history. Why has nothing been done? President Trump said, if you take all those millions of people off of Social Security, all of a sudden we have a very powerful Social Security with people that are 80 and 70, but not 200 years old. He said there was one person over 360 years old. So why haven't those checks been stopped? Very easy to stop these checks. In case DOGE and the rest of the team is listening, here's how you do it. You take about 10 people to terminate, to stop the checks on all these 20 million. Easy to do it. You open up PCOM. You can open up two instances of PCOM A and B. You open up Query Master. You put the Social Security numbers. You can put several thousand Social Security numbers in Query Master. Make sure you limit it to last C. Those are the people that are in pay. And then you switch them from current pay to you stop the benefits. And you've now saved, because checks are going to be going out here in the next few days. The cycle is happening here in the next few days. So you've got $10 billion about to be paid to these 21 million people. Why haven't you stopped that already? It's very easy. 10 people could go into a room, do exactly what I just said on the computer system, stop all those payments, add that money up, and immediately go to your DOGE website and say, hey, we just saved $10 billion this week alone, $40, $50 billion this month, and $500 billion over the entire year. Why hasn't that been done? It's a very, very easy system. When will you do that? And when will you update the website? Because you said you're on full transparency. Why hasn't this been done? I understand that you did not have access. the acting commissioner of the Social Security Administration, she was fired or retired or stepped down or whatever the case may be because she was not wanting you to have access to the system. Okay, she's no longer there. Now the Social Security Administration is controlled by DOGE and Elon Musk. You have a guy there that actually worked in the anti-fraud department at the Social Security Administration. He was under investigation. He was looking for another job, and now miraculously he is the head of the Social Security Administration, and he's a DOGE guy. So you do have access to Social Security now through him, and he's an anti-fraud guy. So why haven't these payments stopped? Next question is, what happened to the arrests? You have an attorney general. What happens with any type of fraud? And the new attorney general, Pam Bondi, knows this because she was the attorney general in Florida, and they prosecuted cases for the Social Security Administration. Social Security Administration says, here, attorney general, here's a bunch of fraud. Here's millions of people that have been receiving Social Security checks that shouldn't be receiving. They're deceased and they're receiving it incorrectly, illegally. They should start putting out warrants for the arrests for all of these people. And why I say this is probably an international conspiracy, if the reports are true, is because field offices throughout the country have had this anti-fraud program. It's called the Centenarian Project. So people in those particular districts, for instance, my district, anybody over 100 years old, we used to have an employee go out to that person's house and give them a little certificate, congratulations on being 100 years old, but also to make sure that person is still there. So that has been going on for a long time. So it would be almost impossible to get 1,200 plus district managers, to be this part of this vast conspiracy. I know some of these district managers, they would have dropped the dime years ago. So those people receiving those Social Security checks are probably not in the United States. So they are probably supposedly expats living overseas, getting their direct deposits in their foreign bank accounts. And the only way that could happen is if it was controlled by Baltimore, where the headquarters of the Social Security Administration. So we should see, if the reports are true, we should see massive arrests in the Social Security Administration headquarters, people in the fraud department. The current commissioner of Social Security, he was in the fraud department. We'll see, the Attorney General, the FBI. You've got now Kash Patel. He's in charge of the FBI. He can coordinate with Interpol and get these people arrested, whatever the usual suspects in international fraud, Russia, Dubai, China, West Africa, Eastern Europe, wherever they are throughout the country, throughout the world. So that's what should have happened. But there's two possibilities on why that hasn't happened yet. Is number one, a possibility is the DOGE and Elon and the rest of them got access to that. And where's the money? Follow the money. Has the money been diverted into some type of Doge coin or some type of the cryptocurrency so it's not able to be followed? What's going on here? Why was a person under investigation in the fraud department who was under investigation, now the head of the Social Security Administration? Is just asking questions here. So there's two possibilities of why none of this has happened yet, why the checks have not stopped. Is A, the conspiracy has been taken over by other conspirators, perhaps? Or B, the whole frickin' story was a bunch of BS. And we've fallen for it again. And because this is the strategy, this has been the strategy for decades, to essentially run out the clock. Within a few years, the Social Security Administration, the trust fund is slowly running out. This year, this amount of money is coming in terms of FICA, your FICA Social Security tax, in terms of taxes on Social Security benefits, in terms of interest in the trust fund. This amount of money is coming in, but this amount of money is going out. What's covering the gap? The trust fund. So this year, probably the numbers aren't in. For 2024, the numbers are probably about 120 billion is taken out of the trust fund and putting into your paychecks. Baby boomers put that money away. That's their money. They're taking it out. It's their money. They put it in savings. But that trust fund is slowly running out. and it's set to run out right now, probably about 2033 or 2034. So 21% cuts. And this administration and the previous Biden administration and the previous Trump administration and the Bushes and the Clintons and the Obamas and all those and all the politicians for the last 40 years have failed to do their job and address this issue so the cuts don't happen. And what their strategy is to run out the clock. And how do they run out the clock? They make up BS stories about the trust fund being run out, or the trust fund being stolen. Well, it is running out, but the trust fund being stolen, given to this group or that group, or it's all fake money. It's interesting that Wall Street really, really wants that money when it doesn't really exist. Yeah, they really want it to, so it's kind of ironical there, right? So to run out the clock, it distracts us on all of these fake stories, and that way we don't take action. And once the cuts are upon us in 2034 or 2033 or 2031, why does it say 33% up there in 2031? But well, if the current president and current administration, current Congress gets their way and they cut, taxes on Social Security, which I think is a good idea, but it's also going to put more stress on the trust fund. And there's other the no tax on overtime and tips and all the rest of it. That's fine, but it's going to more stress on the trust fund, and then the trust fund is going to run out sooner. So you have to decide, you yourself, your check, if you're currently receiving your check, you can continue to sit there and be distracted by these, political distractions, these false stories, and say, oh, okay, well, as long as they find this, $500 billion, everything will be fine. So I guess I don't have to do anything because I guess it's fixed. And that's exactly the plan. If you look at my YouTube description, there is the game plan that was written up in the 1980s, and you can read the game plan yourself. And this is exactly what the game plan is to run out the clock. And then once the cuts are about to happen, then we will surrender and say, okay, I guess we have no choice but to give the trust fund and everything over to you and your buddies on Wall Street, the billionaires. And that was the plan the entire time, is to give Social Security over to Wall Street, the billionaires that sponsor the politicians. That has always been the plan. One side, comes right out and says, yeah, that's pretty much our plan. The other side, that's not our plan, but they're too incompetent to stop it and fix it or whatever the case may be. So we can continue to fall for the distractions, or we can call our senators and representatives. There's the Capitol switchboard. There's the president. Call Pam Bondi if you believe that. I believe Elon Musk. I believe President Trump that there are vampires receiving Social Security checks. So if that's what you believe, and you want to gamble your Social Security check on it, then don't do nothing. If you don't necessarily believe that, and you believe that Social Security actually needs to be fixed, needs to be continued for you and your kids and your grandkids and all the rest of it, you need to reach out to your politicians and say, stop trying to trick us. We are, we're not as dumb as you think we are. So, all right. And that's the number you call. And let's go ahead. And if you got any other ideas, make sure you type them in the chat. Let's get into chat right now, and let's see what we can do to help you get your benefits. Someone asked, if I decline Part B now, will it be possible to apply for Medicaid when I return? When you return, if you decline Part B when you turn 65 years old, which you can decline Part B when you're 65 years old. If you don't get it and you sign up for it later, a year later, or 2 years later, or 3 years later, then you will be penalized 10% for every year, for every 12 months you do not have Part B. If you had to sign up for it at 65 or after 24 months of being on disability. The exceptions, as everything with Social Security, there's exceptions. The exception is if you have current insurance from current work, health insurance from current work, yours or your spouse's, and that health plan, that group plan health plan has 20 or more employees, then you do not have to sign up for Part B. So when you're 65, if you don't want your money, you don't want to start your Social Security yet, you don't want Medicare, you don't have to contact Social Security at all. Don't worry about it. We get people calling us, I'm turning 65, I don't want anything. We're like, okay, well, didn't really have to call, didn't waste, especially now since Social Security is at a 50-year low in terms of staffing. That's another thing that politicians, in order to give the money over to their billionaire buddies, is they're destroying customer service. So we will hate Social Security because we'll just get completely frustrated, and then we'll throw up our hands and say, yeah, whatever, just, and politicians are like, our plan is working. Again, that is in the playbook. All right, so, but if you do refuse Part B because you have health insurance for workers stuff, yours or your spouse's, 20 more employees, then a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, when you're 70, 75, 85, when you stop working and you stop receiving health insurance at that time from current work, then you go ahead and sign up for Part B, and there's no penalty whatsoever. You just have to fill out a couple of forms. It's the 40B and the 564. You can Google those, download them, pretty easy to fill out. And then you just take one of those forms, you take to your employer, and they certify that you did indeed have health insurance since you turned 65 years old. So easy, 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 easy. And you can also reach out to my partners at Chapter there, and they can help you. This is also the open enrollment period where you can change your Medicare Advantage or possibly return to original Medicare. All right, so when they had their 1,500 PG government shutdown, they took those papers home, refurbished them to benefit themselves. Like, okay, I'm not sure. Let's see if we can get a Social Security type question. Oh, we've got some members. Roger Moore, not the Roger Moore, became a silver member. Sue became a silver member. Kathleen became a platinum member. Barbara became a gold member. You guys are awesome. I thank you for supporting the channel so we can continue to answer all of your questions. Let's see here. There's a New York City SSDI coming for you. I've been complaining about not getting my big COLA increase, and they told me I got it. I know I didn't, but they said, yeah, I got harassed every time. Go to the percentage in Queens. All right, so yeah. People ask me all the time, will I get COLA in my calculations? Yes. Basically, once they do the calculations of COLA, then the Social Security Administration puts that into the system and multiplies all 70 million people. So yeah, they can't separate out anybody. They just, 2.5%, and they just do everybody's primary insurance amount, and they multiply it by 2.5%. So, all right, let's see. If that happens, I have to go live my old and have health issues. Yeah, if the cuts happen, then yes, a lot of people, 40% of people that are receiving Social Security benefits are just surviving on their Social Security benefits alone. And if those people get 20, 21, 33% cuts, then that is going to be devastating to a lot of people. But there's places out there that you can help. I did a video on this. It's living on Social Security alone. I've put together about 50 different programs. So if you or someone you know are struggling, make sure you watch that video. And one of the number one thing is make sure you're getting the right benefits from Social Security. That's why I do this video pretty much every single day. A lot of people are, don't know they're entitled to spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, independently entitled divorce spouse benefits, and all the rest of it. So we need to make sure people out there are getting the right benefit amount, and that they're also taking advantage of all the program, Medicare savings program, the dual plans, Medicaid, electrical assistance, and all the rest of it. Hello from Kara. I'm on SSDI. I'm 62, and I need to raise money to be able to move. Can I go and GoFundMe account without harming my SSDI? Yes, 100%. It's not work. So the only thing that affects SSDI, and you specifically said SSDI, not SSI, that's Supplemental Security Income. That's the welfare-based program. So if you get any money when you're on SSI, then that's an issue. But you're on SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. So no, if someone gives you $1 billion, doesn't matter. It's not considered work. The only time money like that will affect your SSDI is if it's earned income, either wages or net income from business. But yeah, you're good. So hopefully you get some help there. And then remember, when you move, because you're on SSDI, make sure you contact Social Security Administration, change your address, and they will also automatically update your address in Medicare system, because you already probably have Medicare there. And then if you have a Medicare plan, which probably you have a Medicare Advantage plan, because when you're under 65, that's pretty much, unfortunately, the only thing you can get. Why do I say unfortunately? Because I always recommend Medicare supplement plans, the Plan N and the Plan G, but most people on disability, it's not available to them. But Kara, when you turn 65, you can get a Medicare supplement plan, and there's no health underwriting. You can't be discriminated against or asked, pay any extra than anybody else. But let me use this as an opportunity to talk to those people out on disability. So when you're on disability and you turn 60 years old, number one, make sure, check to see if you're entitled to any survivor benefits, because survivor benefits start at 60. When you're 62, then check to see if you're entitled to any spouse benefits, divorce spouse benefits, current spouse benefits. And then when you're 65, then, check to see if a Medicare supplement is best for you. There's a premium on there, monthly premium. That's why a lot of people don't get it, or they don't know about it. And then once you hit your full retirement age, you're no longer on disability. Your disability benefits turn automatically to retirement benefits, full retirement benefits. So you're no longer limited to the amount of money you can make, and there's no more of those continuing disability reviews or any of that. So I get people on here all the time and says, "Hey, I'm receiving SSDI. I'm 70 years old." I'm like, "Nope, no, you're not. You might be 70, but you're not receiving SSDI." And their question is, "Can I work?" You could have worked for the last 3 or 4 years because you're no longer SSDI. It's more of an accounting bureaucratic thing. They just stop taking your money out of the Social Security Disability Trust Fund and start taking it out of the Retirement Trust Fund, but you're no longer. So Dr. Weir, please take care of yourself. Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys make this awesome. So I'm going to keep on doing this as long as I possibly can. I don't want to see sad news. Try to talk about good things every so often. What would be happening to this one? Yeah, what happened to Denzel? One, they had a plan to raise the FICA cap, and that's the number one. Everybody that pretty much 99.9% of the people that are regular viewers, they agree that raising the FICA cap is the way to fix Social Security. The Biden had a plan to do that. Harris had a plan to do that. But whether that particular political party was competent enough, they've had plans for decades, but unfortunately, they haven't. Even under the Biden administration, his final act was the Social Security Fairness Act, where he says this expands Social Security, which was BS. It didn't expand Social Security; it just gives an extra percentage to government retirees. But that was supported by President Trump, and it was supported by Congress, a bipartisan support, and it was another politicians, all of them. My political party is the Protect Social Security political party, and I don't care which party does it. If Elon Musk, Elon Musk has to come clean, and DOGE and President Trump, and say, okay, the story that we've been, peddling for the last couple of 3 weeks, okay, we got it wrong. We saw the numbers of Social Security numbers, and I've talked about this several times of where those Social Security numbers, why they're like that. It's nothing about money. There's zero money paying out of those. But Elon Musk is anybody. This has been a story. Every time this story, the same exact story has come out over the last decade. It's always, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Yes, it is crazy. So their reaction was good. This is crazy. This isn't right. But then someone should have told them, and they should have listened, that, okay, it's pretty much a BS story and there's no money there. It's all about nothing, much ado about nothing. And so they should come back on air and say, yeah, those hundreds of billions of dollars that we told everybody we found, yeah, sorry. It was all BS. And now we need to get serious to save Social Security. So that's what needs to happen. Whether it's going to happen, DOGE needs to find fraud. They just want an excuse to get rid of Social Security. Yeah, they have not found any fraud yet from Social Security. No. Is there fraud in Social Security? Absolutely, of course there is. Social Security employees, my office won many awards on finding fraud in our district. In our district, the OIG finds fraud. If all you got to do is Google your state paper, any paper in your state, just type in Social Security fraud, and within the last 2 or 3 years, you'll see story. Local man, local woman gets thrown in jail, has to pay restitution, has to do this. whatever the case may be, you see that all the time. So obviously, yeah, there's Social Security fraud. And can Elon Musk and his team help Social Security help fraud? Absolutely, they can help. Can they help make Social Security more efficient? Absolutely, they can help, if that is their true motivations. Those good for nothings only think of themselves the 3%. The greedy rich, years people, many years. There's no way in hell we're giving it to Wall Street. No way. It's ours. We were, yes. So for those new people out there that just joined my channel, what are we talking about when we say raise the FICA cap? This is something that a lot of people don't realize is, if you're like most of us on here, you make under $176,100, you pay FICA, the Social Security FICA, the 6.2 and everything, on every dollar you make. If you make over $176,100 this year in 2025, you stop paying that. You pay it under it, but after that, you no longer pay FICA tax on any of it. So it's basically FICA tax free after $176,100. And that's the reason the Social Security Trust Fund is slowly being depleted, and that's the gap. If those people paid, if the cap was raised or deleted, and there was no cap, and everybody paid FICA tax on every dollar they make, like the rest of us, then Social Security would be around here for decades. And then politicians will say, well, it's not 100%, solution. It was 100% solution a few years ago, but every month, every year, we fall for these stupid stories and they run out the clock. It becomes less. This year, that's a 73% solution. A couple of years ago, it was an 80% solution. A few years ago, it was a 100% solution. But the new numbers aren't out yet. It's probably this year, right now, 2025 is probably a solution of 68%. And next year, it'll be a 62% solution, and then it's too late. So, and that's the entire intention of politicians, is to run out the clock and distract us, and we keep falling for it. Let's see here. Dr. Ed, I have been on SSDI since 2009 for temporary total disability. Can I work part-time? Okay, Social Security has no such animal as temporary total disability. Social Security disability is you're either disabled or you're not. Veterans Administration has like a percentage, 20%, 30% or stuff. Yeah, not Social Security. And you've been receiving this since 2009, so yeah. And I'm going to do a special video this week. It's on disability, because that looks like it's going to be a target of the current administration, is to find fraud, waste, and abuse in the disability program, which there obviously is, but there seems to be a shoot first, ask questions later mentality, kind of like the employees that work for that nuclear agency, that their job was to make sure our nuclear weapons didn't explode, and that they were safe. And so all those people were fired, and then they were like, oh, these people take care of our nuclear arsenal. Maybe we should. Does anybody know the numbers of these? So this is kind of how it's happening, in a kind of a bull in a China shop type situation. So a lot of people, unfortunately, I think, as going after fraud, there's going to be a lot of collateral damage, a lot of victims that are going to lose benefits or lose payments because of that. So I'm going to do a video on that this week and tell you how to protect yourself. But in terms of work, yes, you can. There's the trial work period, 9 months. You can make as much as you want, because Social Security wants people to go back to work. And if you're on disability, try to go back to work. And that's why it's called the trial work period. And if you can, then you just stop your disability and you go back to work. But if you're not, no harm, no foul. And I'll go more into detail when I do that video later this week. And Elon Musk, again, if he wants to help, if he actually wants to help, that is a program that really needs help. The entire program is way, way too complicated. If he can figure out, him and his team can figure out a good way to, to help people that are on disability follow the very complicated rules, then that would be great. That would be awesome. So, is Medicare like Medicaid? They're both healthcare, systems of healthcare, but they're different. Medicare is the federal program that you sign up for at the Social Security Administration. It has Part A, which is the hospitalization, Part B, which is doctors, outpatient type stuff, and then there's I hate calling this the Medicare Advantages are technically called Part C, which I don't think they should be because they're private companies. And then there's Part D, the prescription drug plans, and then the Medicare supplement plans. So all of those work together. And again, you can reach out to Chapter and they can help you with all that stuff. But Medicaid is the state program. It's funded by federal dollars and state dollars, but that's the welfare-based program for those people, low income, low resources. But you can have both. You can have both Medicare and Medicaid. And here's how you help people in your community. If you know someone on Medicare, on Social Security, that is pretty much only living on Social Security and they're having a hard time of it, tell them to reach out to the Medicaid office, Department of Welfare, Department of Social Services, whatever they call it in your state, and apply for Medicaid. And if they're approved at a certain level, then Medicaid will pay for their Part B premium, the $185, and that'll put an extra $185 back into their pocket, which is always a beautiful thing. And they can also become eligible for what's called a Medicare Advantage dual eligible plan. If you're on Medicaid, you can't get a Medicare supplement anyway, but a Medicare Advantage is a good option when you have Medicare and Medicaid. Those are the ones with the extra, gym membership and dental, and a lot of dental. It depends on your area, and those grocery cards and all the rest of it. So it really depends on what your area is. And this is also the open enrollment period, so you can actually switch Medicare Advantage now and all the rest of it. So reach out to it. Karen became a gold member. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. What happens to VA disability at retirement? Nothing. In terms of Social Security retirement benefits, the VA has zero effect on your Social Security benefits. No effect whatsoever. So when you apply for Social Security benefits, they don't even ask you if you're receiving any other VA or anything like that. So Ed has TDS. I didn't know what that was for a while, but I guess it's Trump Derangement System Syndrome. Yes. So, where's the billions of dollars that was saved finding this money? Why is it on the DOGE website? Why haven't those checks been started? When will the arrests start? Those are the questions. I mean, if you can answer those questions, then please let us know. Please reach out to your politicians and tell them, hey, update the website of all the billions of dollars you found. If my SSA payout is reduced, I will get more in housing subsidies, more SNAP, and my Section 8 rent will be reduced. For all of those needs-based programs, Section 8, SNAP, food stamps, housing, Medicaid, and all that stuff, each state is a little bit different, and their numbers and what they count as income and all the rest of it. So a lot of the different states different calculations. But that's one of the unfortunate part, particularly a couple of years ago when the COLA went up by 8.7%. A lot of people are like, yay, 8.7. But there's a lot of people like, oh my gosh, this is terrible, because their Social Security checks went up by 8.7%, and they got let's say an extra $80, but that put them over the threshold, and they lost Medicaid or SNAP or whatever the case may be. And it's like, oh, I got an extra $80, but I lost $250 worth of benefits. It's tough for people out there. And there was a plan in Congress to kind of make it, rather than kind of an on and off. It's like, okay, you get an $80, you lose $250, rather than lose all of it. Okay, if your benefits increase $80, you'll lose $80 of this other benefits, or some type of calculation. But that's not how it happens, unfortunately. Dr. Ed, I shared the link to your account on a podcast of Joe Rokren, and he was walking back all the lies he told about fraud and abuse in Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. I hope his followers check you out. Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Yes, to anybody out there that makes a mistake and they own up to it, and that's, people make mistakes. Elon Musk, whoever gave him that report, I always give people the benefit of the doubt. The president and Elon Musk were given this report about these 20 million, 21 million people that have Social Security numbers that are still open. And a Social Security number, as I mentioned several times, is not an MBR. That's not the checkbook. That's not where you write the checks from for Social Security. That's just a Social Security number. Should those records be closed out? Yes. The Social Security Administration has been told several times over the years by the OIG and the Government Accountability Office to close out those records. But Social Security has refused because they are protecting your money. They're like, those are just useless records. It's, it's to close those out is going to cost a lot of money and resources because we have to find death certificates. We can't legally close out those records without death certificates and stuff. If the president wants to make an executive order to do that, but Social Security said, no, that's going to cost millions of dollars to do, and it's not going to save us a penny. We've got other things that we need to do with those millions of dollars, like, try to help customer service, which, Congress keeps, hamstringing them there. Yeah, so. Oh, somebody's answering somebody, a group of okay, let's see, not sure what that is. You are no help promoting conspiracy theories into Doge coins. Come on. I mean, can you come up with another? I mean, it's either, if they were telling the truth and there's billions of dollars out there that are going somewhere and they haven't stopped it, where's that money going? Where's the money going? Or possibility B, it was all, yeah. So if you can come up with a C option, then yes. Corporate Medicare fraud is where the big business, the big busts are at. Yes, Medicare. And that is a solution to possibly Dr. Oz when he comes in. He has a solution to Medicare fraud, but most people are not going to like it. Medicare Advantage, the private companies, when you sign up for Medicare Advantage, you're basically giving up your original Medicare Part A and Part B, and you're saying, hey, this company is not going to take care of my health care. If you have Medicare Part A and Part B, then you got Medicare Part A and Part B. Medicare, the government, if you go to a doctor and the doctor says you need X, Y, and Z, then that's it. You're done. You get X, Y, and Z. Medicare just says, okay, just go ahead and do whatever the doctor says you need. And then if we get reports that your doctor is, doing something he shouldn't be doing, fraud, then we go after them, prosecute them, throw them in jail, restitution, all that kind of stuff. So they say, hey, we're not getting your doctor, maybe, this is an important thing that you need to be done immediately. You don't need us to get in and approve it and stuff. But if we find later that stuff like that's happened, we're going to bar that person, throw them in jail, and all the rest of it. Medicare Advantage plans, they do it differently. They say, in a lot of cases, if the doctor says you need X, Y, and Z, we're going to check first and prior authorizations. So they get it ahead of it, and sometimes they get denied or delayed and all the rest of it. So the solution to Medicare fraud is prior authorizations. So because as long as people are people, and they're going to try to work the system, doesn't matter if it's I've said it before and said it again. Thank you, Dr. Weir. You're answering questions and helping so many people get the information they're looking for and understand how it works. You're welcome. Okay, here's a mistaken one. I love negative questions or constructive criticism. You are mistaken. Elon doesn't have authority to stop payments. He just reports the problem. Trump stated he didn't know if they had been paid yet. You guys should have fixed it a long time ago. Okay. He doesn't have authority to, right, you're right. But the DOGE guy, the current acting commissioner of the Social Security Administration, 100% does have authority to stop those payments. And as I mentioned, PCOM, Query Master, LAFC, converted to a T record, a terminated record. That'll take a day tops of about 10 people. Why hasn't it been stopped? Number one. Okay. Trump stated he didn't know if they had been paid. He did in 1 second, and then the next second he said, this is fraud. This is, the history and all the rest of it. So yeah, so he's gone back several times and said, yes, it is. And then he said, no, it's not. And then he said, yes, it is. So fraud is spending millions by going to the Super Bowl ad and driving around to Daytona 500 with our money. Yeah. I don't know about fraud. It was approved and stuff like that. Is it waste? Yes. That's, yeah. That definitely sounds like waste. Can a federal government, again, but is that a distraction? Is that going to, we're talking about $1 billion a day to add one day onto the Social Security Trust Fund. So, can a federal government retiree now apply for spousal benefits under Social Security since GPO has no effect? Both are still alive. Yes, absolutely. If you didn't file for benefits, spouse benefits before because you were in the full GPO offset, I would definitely file now. 100% reach out to Social Security Administration and file, get your name on the list. Politicians didn't give Social Security the resources to recalculate those 3 million records. So unfortunately, it's going to take a while. So reach out to your politicians. Karen became a gold member. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's see. Let me see if I get a Social Security question. Well, my wife in 2020 was given a flu shot and 2 weeks later could no longer. Oh, okay. Doctors' salaries are paid from Medicare and Medicaid funds during their residency. Let's see. Very much an advocate for my health since I have a bachelor's degree in nutrition. All right. Yeah, I think all of us know what we're supposed to be eating, what we're supposed to be staying away from. But yeah. But anyway, it's the willpower. I am 60 and am still working, but my husband is deceased and we had court-ordered custody of a grandchild. Are we eligible for any Social Security? Okay. So you're 60 years old, so it sounds like so you were married to your husband when he passed away, so you just had to be married 9 months in order to get surviving spouse benefits. And surviving spouse benefits, you can start at 60 years old. But you said you're working, so you're limited to the amount of money you can make. This year, it's the $23,400. Anything over $23,400, then Social Security holds back $1 for every $2 you go over. But in terms of the grandchild, custody versus adopt, yeah, just having custody is the grandchild won't be able to receive benefits on the grandparent's record unless the grandparent actually adopted that child. There is an exception if the child's parents are both either deceased or disabled. So if the parents are deceased or disabled, then the child can possibly receive benefits on the grandparent's record. I was awarded disability and my first monthly check is Wednesday. Well, congratulations. I guess it's kind of bittersweet. But in my awards letter, it said they declared disabled January 2024. I know I get Medicare after 2 years, but when do they start counting? When you get your first check. So when you are approved for disability benefits, SSDI, there's always a 5-month waiting period. Everybody has to wait that first 5 months. You don't get a check. So basically, when your first check technically starts, 24 months after that, your Medicare starts. But sometimes you might have gotten several months of back pay and all that kind of stuff, and it gets kind of confusing. So you can call Social Security and say, hey, when will my Medicare start? And they'll tell you when your first pay was, your first check was. And then when you're calling Social Security and you're on the phone for 3 hours because Social Security is so understaffed, reach out to your politicians and say, hey, fix it. Dr. Weir should only give Social Security advice and no political commentary. As you see up there, to claim and protect your Social Security. So I help people get the benefits they earned, but that would be useless if those benefits are going to be cut here in a few years. So that's my other mission in my semi-retirement. I have an appointment at Social Security tomorrow for survivor benefits. My property settlement was signed 1 month ago prior to 10 years. However, divorce granted 4 months after 10 years. Will I be denied? Divorce granted 4 months after 10 years. No, okay, so it was a divorce type situation. And yeah, it sounds like you were married to that person for 10 years. So you're good. Yeah, some property settlement or whatever like that. It's Social Security looks at your marriage certificate date when you got married, and then when the court determined you were divorced. If that's 10 years, then that's it. And let me take this opportunity to tell you out there, again, your friends, family, relatives, little old lady down the street, there's a lot of people out there that were divorced from someone And in the divorce decree, it says, I'll keep the dog, you keep the house, I'll keep the, 67 Mustang, and you will not get my Social Security money. All the other stuff about the dog and the Mustang, okay. Social Security doesn't matter. Social Security doesn't look at those. So there's a lot of people out there that are not collecting divorced spouse benefits, divorced surviving spouse benefits, because they think, well, I'd like to, but it says in my divorce decree I can't get it. Well, nice try, ex-spouse and ex-spouse's lawyer, but Social Security doesn't care. If you were married, if you tolerated that person for at least 10 years, you're good. When you provide your marriage divorce decree, I've done this 100,000 times. The Social Security employee will look at the names, bride, groom, date of marriage, defendant, plaintiff, date of divorce. That's it. Those are the only 6 things they will look at. They will look at, are you, is he going to allow you to get your benefit? That, yeah, don't allow you to get benefits. So there's a lot of people out there that please reach out to people that are struggling and see if you can help them out. Gigi, they didn't find anything new. This is recycled news. They already know about. They're just open records. Those 150-year-olds aren't getting paid correctly. That is correct. This is an old story from 2015, and we keep falling for it, and we fall for it, and then the clock starts, it continues to run out, and then that's the strategy, to let the clock run out, because the closer we get to D-Day, to the day our checks are cut, then we'll surrender to anything. Okay, whatever, give it to Wall Street. And that has been the plan since day one. So come on, we need to be smarter than that. Elon has put servers on most everything he's gotten into the government, and now possible link algorithms crazy. Yeah, the whole read-only thing is on the DOGE people. They can scrape everything, they can copy everything. So some are ignorant of the facts and truth and cannot register in the brain. Let's see here. If you continue to work once, start collecting Social Security, when do they start adding that extra amount in your monthly check? Once you file your taxes, once the year is complete. So let's say, you do all your taxes and you're all done, and then the IRS notifies Social Security how much you made last year in 2024. Social Security will look at that amount. The computer, this is 100% automatic. Social Security will look at what you earned last year, and they will see if it's one of your high 35 years of earnings. And if it's one of your high 35, they kick out the low one, stick in the new one, recalculate, and it's 100% automatic. Sometimes it takes a while, because you have to file your taxes and all that stuff. So let's say that finally happens in July. If Social Security determined, based on your earnings from last year, that your benefits should go up $10 a month, they will pay you $10 a month extra going forward and pay you back to January. So $10 a month, 5 months, 6 months, or whatever. So they'll pay the extra $60 in the lumps check. People in August, September, October, come on here and they say, I just got an extra $100 on my check. I don't understand. Where'd that come from? Did you work last year? Yes. Okay. Well, that's where it came from. So, I fear that the more privatization, Wall Street, there'll be more. There's I haven't seen him. He said he was going to introduce it here pretty soon. Senator from Louisiana, Bill Cassidy, said he is going to introduce a bill that is going to essentially give half of the Social Security Trust Fund to Wall Street to have them, as he says, do their thing in real estate and all that kind of good stuff. So that is in the works. And again, these are the same. I don't think Bill Cassidy has said it, but there's other politicians that say, oh, this is all fake money and stuff. But it's amazing. I guess the people on Wall Street aren't very smart because they want all this fake money, or maybe they know it's not fake money. So let's see here. Get other questions. If you are 75 and on Social Security and you get a job and you make $30,000 in 2023, do you have to file taxes on it? I don't do taxes. But I did put a link in the YouTube description, and you can click on it. It's an IRS link, and you can click on it, and it'll tell you whether you do have to file federal IRS taxes. So, it's right in there. I have Champus Tricare and get my meds through the military. I turned 65. I wanted the vision and dental offered with A and B. There is no vision and dental offered with A and B. Anyway, I also have a company. Medicare seems to cover more than that company. I don't get it. Yeah, it really depends of what you probably, if you have Tricare, you probably got a Medicare Advantage plan, because you should not get a Medicare supplement plan if you have Tricare, retired military, because your Tricare is essentially a Medicare supplement plan. But some people do get with Tricare, some people do get a Medicare Advantage for extra benefits and stuff. My partners in chapter don't suggest it because it just causes too much. But there's a lot of people out there that want the extra, commissions and sales and stuff like that. They're willing to, sign you up for Medicare Advantage, even if you have Tricare. But that's why I chose chapter, because they're like, it's not the right thing to do in 99% of the cases. So, yes, Debbie, I totally agree. This channel is for us who want to know about our Social Security, and I don't like these stupid kids. All right. So let's see here. Other questions. Can my husband collect Social Security retirement benefits and IHSS at the same time? My husband gets in-home support. Okay, Social Security retirement. So IHSS. So this is a really good program that's in California, some other places, different names and stuff. In-home supportive system. I forget what the actual acronym stands for, but it's basically, it pays people to take care, in-home type thing, of people that are, disabled or aged, not able to take care of themselves. It's a good program. And a lot of the times it's basically their family member. So if you are, daughter or son, and you have an elderly parent or grandparent that you're taking care of, you can apply for these programs and they will actually pay for you to take care of that person. But it is work. They consider it work. You might be taking care of that particular person, but you're technically working for the state, that agency, and you could theoretically take care of anybody. You just happen to be taking care of a relative. So people think it's not really work because you're taking care of a relative. No, it is still considered work. So, super long story short, if you're receiving early retirement, yes, that is considered work. And if you're making over $23,400, Social Security will hold back $1 for every $2 you go over. But if you're over your full retirement age, work doesn't matter anymore. So, Dr. Weir, thank you for the truth and for your integrity. It doesn't go unnoticed and is so appreciated. You're welcome. Thank you. I think my video today was I think it was more sarcasm, from 15 minutes of sarcasm. Yeah, but it's like, where did this money go? If it really is out there, show us the receipts. Are you telling me Musk has the right to go through our Social Security and the Treasury, knowing he is unvetted bureaucrat? I don't know what has access to. Yeah, I have no idea. I don't think he can log into PCOM, which is the Social Security computer system. I don't think he can log into that. The current acting commissioner of Social Security can certainly give him a PIN, because he is a DOGE guy, the Social Security guy. So he can, yes, he can give any of the DOGE people access PINs, and no background checks or anything like that. They can do whatever they want now. They're in control of Social Security. Does military pensions add to annual earnings per Social Security policy, or are they exempted per the SS? Yeah, in terms of Social Security retirement, in terms of SSDI, work pensions is unearned income. So it does not affect retirement benefits, annual earnings limit, SSDI, or anything. So it doesn't have an effect at all. Trump has proven record of helping Americans. Don't see he's involved in another conspiracy theory. Biden and previous presidents, a terrible dishonesty records. Okay. All right. So where are the receipts? Where did that money go? Let's find that $500 billion. Why is it not posted on Truth or on Truth Social or yeah, I guess, and the DOGE website, on the top of it, it says this is a government website and full transparency. They say they're going to have full transparency. So why isn't it up there? Where are the rests? We want to watch the perp walks out of the Woodlawn office. Woodlawn is in suburbs of Baltimore where the Social Security. So there has to be people that was part of this conspiracy, and we want to see those people per plot, and all the people overseas or wherever that have been collecting these benefits. So there's going to be millions of arrests if the story was correct. Which, yeah. Why did my disability from SSDI get deposited earlier this month? I received SSDI on every third of each month, but it was January 31st. Yeah, it's probably, probably because of the weekend. Sometimes they do a little bit early, and the Department of Treasury does it a day earlier or so. But if it's the right amount and you normally get your Social Security check about that time, then that's probably it. But if it's something extra, then definitely reach out to Social Security, and you don't want to get an overpayment. If this is twice what you normally get, or a lot more than what you normally get, you definitely need to contact Social Security and say, hey, I got a lot of extra money, because they'll eventually catch it. My husband is 100% disabled per the VA. It actually adds up a lot more on a percentage. He moved up like a year and a half ago from, okay. Sorry, I didn't get the rest of your question there. Good afternoon. Is there a cap on income after one reaches the full retirement age? I heard there's a cap of 62,000. I heard there's no cap. Please advise. You're correct on both, kind of, sort of. Once you hit your full retirement age, that month, there is no cap. You can make $1 billion a month. Social Security doesn't care anymore. The months of that year before you turn your full retirement age. So if your full retirement age, let's say, is July, so from January to June, there is a cap. And that's what this year, $62,160. So as long as you're under $62,160 for the months of that year before your full retirement age, then you're good. So what did Tricare qualify as supplemental policy with Medicare? Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about in terms of qualifying, but yeah, Tricare is a supplemental type policy. So what most people on Tricare get is they get their Tricare, and they have to have Part A and Part B. And yeah, that's usually good. Excellent. So those are for retired military people. For us, like myself, that only served in, I served in the Marine Corps for 8 years. There's VA medical. That's a whole different beast. So if you're receiving VA medical, which I'm not, by the way, if people ask, but if you're receiving VA medical, you're getting your medical from the VA, and most people are okay with that. And if they're receiving Social Security benefits, they get Part A, but they always want to refuse Part B, and I understand why, because it's $185 a month, and they're like, well, I don't need it because I get all my help from the VA. But if the VA customer service goes down, you want to get a second opinion, you move, whatever the case may be, and you lose your VA and you want to sign up for a Part B later, then you're going to get penalized 10% for every 12 months. So 5 years, you get 50% penalty for the rest of your life. So, and your intention was just to avoid the $185. There's solutions to that. Number one, obviously Medicaid, they pay for all the $185, but there's also these, the government allows these Medicare Advantage companies to provide these plans called Medicare Advantage Part B give back, where they pay for part of your Part B premium. So you kind of have your cake and eat it too. They pay, $50, $100, $185, depending on what's available in your particular area. So you can reach out to my partner as a chapter and see if there's one of those in your area. Most of those are specifically for veterans, and so they're called honor plans and patriot plans. They usually don't have the drug part in there because the VA has a better drug program than Medicare, because the VA is allowed to negotiate. Medicare only recently was allowed to negotiate prices, which is travesty in and of itself. Why did they not stop all these checks to 110 years old and above before Elon? Someone was corrupt, because they didn't exist. And so, all right, so they didn't. Okay, we'll tell you, we'll play a mea culpa. I'm sorry, I didn't stop all those checks. Elon, go ahead and stop them and notify us, put it on DOGE today, tomorrow, next week, and start arresting people. And if it doesn't happen, then guess what? The whole story was, yeah. So what would happen if Social Security is given to Wall Street? You ever heard of a Medicare Advantage? Social Security Advantage, where Medicare Advantage is you're essentially privatizing your Medicare. And a lot of people are happy with Medicare Advantage. I'm not dumping on Medicare Advantage. a lot of people can't afford a Medicare supplement and a Medicare Advantage. As long as you keep up on it and fight for your rights, if they deny you or give you the prior authorization, you fight for it. Most of the time, people fight those pre-authorizations. They're approved. You just have to fight it. It takes a lot more effort. And you unfortunately have to check on those plans on a regular basis. Like, this is the time to check it. January, February, March, the open enrollment period. You can switch to any other Medicare Advantage plan in your area. Something might have changed. You didn't check your plan. You want to go see another doctor. You found out that if something happens, you have $200 a night in hospital, and you're like, oh, wow, I need to get out of this while the getting's good. You have January, February, March. If you call chapter today and they find a better plan, if they don't find a better plan, they will say, you're good. If they find you a better plan, then they will get you enrolled in that other plan, and your new plan will start March 1st. So now's the time to do it. So it's a Medicare supplement or a Medicare Advantage is definitely 100% better than just having Medicare A and B alone, unless you get a loan, unless you got a whole bunch of money, $1 million under, your mattress or something like that. So it's always good to have something, because Medicare Part A and Part B, there's just so many financial gaps there. I wish there wouldn't. I wish they would have. If I was a dictator for a day after the solution to male pattern baldness, I would get rid of all the gaps of original Part A and Part B, and there would be no 20% co-insurance and no deductibles, and I would put in vision, dental, and hearing and be done with it. And sorry, chapter, but no Medicare Advantage plans, no Medicare supplement plans. You get original Medicare and you're done. You don't need anything else. Yeah. Who's being arrested? Yes, exactly. We want to see some perp walks there. Why top of Social Security official resigned if not hiding something? Well, all right. Tell us what they were hiding. So it's time to put the money where the mouth, right? Do you not think that the goal of cutting the debt by cutting fraud and waste is a good thing to do? No, absolutely. I've never said, yeah. But let's actually spend time cutting fraud, waste, and abuse rather than making up, fake stories and, distracting people from the important, things that need to get done. Yeah. Let's see. Yes, if there is a lack of profitable investments, as there are sometimes, then the investment of trust fund will be in the bubbles. Yeah, I was taking claims at the Social Security Administration in 2007, 2008, and I saw firsthand people coming in for retirement, and they said, okay, I'm going to get $1,900. I had a 401k, but it lost 70% of its value during the crisis, the housing crisis. So yeah, and Social Security is a social safety net. It is the most successful anti-poverty program in American history, bar none. So, all right, I am completely out of time. I apologize. I will be back again tomorrow, and we'll talk about another topic, and I will answer your questions for the rest of the hour. So if I didn't get your question today, I apologize. Cut and paste it, and we'll get to it tomorrow, hopefully. All right, y'all take care. Have a beautiful night. And most importantly, please take care of each other. Take care.